The Pirelli World Challenge Championships return to the mountain rim beauty of the Great Salt Desert. It's high speed, high elevation, high temperature excitement at the Grand Prix of Utah, and it starts now. Welcome everybody to Utah Motorsports Campus. It is time for the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Utah. Today, it is time for round 10 of the Pirelli World Challenge Touring Car Championships. We are so excited to be here and have you with us. An absolutely glorious mountain morning in the Great Salt Desert. That's the Stansbury Range with Desiree Peak, the sunlight glinting off of the Black Rock hairpin. An absolutely beautiful location. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Calvin Fish, Gino Carini covering the action in the pit lane today. It's a long one he's going to be covering down there, Cal. And this is a track, we've already seen it this weekend, some serious, unique excitement always seems to unfold here.
It really does. It's an excellent racetrack. It really provides great racing opportunities, some good overtaking spots on this racetrack. And I tell you what, the drivers this morning are catching a bit of a break. I think this is the coolest it's been
exactly.
All weekend long.
Yeah, it is, and we've actually had some of the haze has disappeared just a little bit, so I think they're really looking forward to getting this race underway, and we sure are. There's no question about that, and as you take a look here, this is that long straightaway, 3/4 of a mile in length, but the backside of the track, and we get into the twisty bits, this place has such flow and rhythm. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch this run unfold.
It really will be, and lessons are learned overnight. It's great with the double header. You have a chance to tweak on the race car, make some adjustments, maybe a different psyche, different approach to how aggressive you are. They'll have learned a lot yesterday with a very long green flag run, 40 minutes. The tire's really taking a beating.
Well, speaking of yesterday, let's go and take a look at some of the highlights from that race. And it all started with Johann Schwartz, a huge lap for pole, Cal, but the first start got waved off. They said he jumped it a little bit.
Yeah, big compression in the middle of the pack. We got away with one there. On the restart, look at this. Vesco Kozrov, the championship leader, he tries to thread the needle.
And he did, and it was huge because that 91 is Carl Whitmer, the guy that's closest to him in the points. Schwartz was able to slide through, however, he would get a drive-through penalty for that jump start. And that, of course, as you watch him now completing the drive-through, that put Vesco Kozrov in the lead.
Yeah, big dent in Schwartz's championship hope, so he had to try and recover. He had a brilliant drive, but look at this. Richard Zillman on debut, he's having a fun race, gets a little bit squirrely there out of Black Rock, manages to get it together.
He did. And Carl Whitmer never gave up, hounded Vesco Kozrov through the entire race in his classic BMW. However, it was the Rd.10 Nissan of Vesco Kozrov bringing it home for a 5th win on the season. You can see how close Whitmer was, not quite enough, but Cal, there's nothing really sweeter than spraying champagne on your home track.
Absolutely, and when you increase that championship lead and you got pole for today, that is a very nice evening.
Absolutely, and his run in that race produced the fastest lap of the race as well, so he gets another pole position. That's going to be his 5th of the season, and that's another point.
Every point is important at this stage of the game. You look at the front of the grid. Some of these contenders have to make hay today. They've got to cut into that lead.
As you take a look at this field, there you see Johann Schwartz still had a very strong lap in the race. He has been fast this weekend. And give a little bit of a look at this track for our race analysis. 3 miles, 15 counted corners using the outer loop. And yes, you've got that long straight. However, like I said, you get into the backside of this track, there's a great rhythm and flow. As you said, some fabulous passing areas.
There really are. Down into turn 1, you got that long straightaway. You can pick up a draft there. Then into the Black Rock hairpin. I love that corner. Very low speed corner. Great overtaking opportunities. Some brilliant corners like the Attitudes, Tuella, Clubhouse. It really keeps coming at you.
It does, and those Attitudes are a lot of fun. You'd think at this desert track, not a lot of elevation change, and in that one, it is a little bit of a roller coaster. Here's a look at some of these fabulous corners here. That's the approach to the Attitudes, that little climb up. In the next shot, you're going to see how far down you fall down this hill. It doesn't show it a lot on TV, but that's a serious drop. And then into Tuilla Corner, into Clubhouse, and then wind up and release, which are a couple of great corners to let it go.
Yeah, it really is. It just keeps coming at you, and I love the last couple of corners. They're so important, that front straightaway. But the key today is, Greg, a lot of the drivers yesterday couldn't afford to pick up the draft. They were worried about overheating those engines. Much cooler conditions today. I think that will allow guys to draft a bit more and maybe have a shot down into turn 1.
And, of course, the big difference today, a standing start as well. So everybody will come around on a formation lap, but when they get staged to go, very different approach now into turn one.
It really is. And I think for Vesco Kozarov, yes, he wants to sweep the weekend at his home track, but he's got to be thinking big picture. If someone gets aggressive with him, and some of these guys have to go, as we said earlier, you've got to get the big points. You've got to cut into that lead before we go to Watkins Glen for the final weekend of the year.
Yeah, and he's really got himself in a strong position. But as we said, 3 races yet to go. That's a ton of points, 75 plus bonus points. So it's by no means settled, but he certainly is putting a stamp on it.
He really is, and I think for a lot of these drivers, getting that 50% mark where you will score points is probably the first goal, first target in this race. Then you can afford to be a little bit more aggressive.
And as you can see, the field is making its way out on the installation lap. And there is that front row moving away. There's Carl Whitmer, who had a good qualifying effort in third. His teammate Matt Travis, who's been very racy, starting fourth. And we're going to get ready for it, but we're going to talk Pirelli storylines right now. And first, we've kind of been talking about it already, Cal. Reared and rolling right now.
They really are, and you expected them to be quick here yesterday, and they certainly got through for the win, but it didn't look that good after qualifying, so they tweaked on the car, and Vesco, he's a cool cat. He really did a great job. Got that fast lap, got the bonus point. He starts from pole today. He should be able to control it, but I think everyone behind him is going to be pushing very, very hard. And
another one has got to be Schwartz came in here swinging. I mean, he set a pole time that was 6/10 faster than anybody else and obliterated the old track record.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there on the second start. I get the first one. It's like, okay, we're worried about a long green flag run. I think he felt by jumping the start, if it gets waved off, that puts less minutes on the board to get to the checkered flag, but it backfired on him because they didn't like the second start either.
And as we watch this installation lap unfold, let's sneak down to the pits and check in with a third member of our team, Gino Carini. Gino, what have you been hearing since yesterday's race?
I think what everybody's talking about is possible BOP adjustments. They've made none overnight. They're watching the Nissans, but what's happening is Vesco's just driving the wheels off that car. So what I found out by going to the other teams is that everybody's looking at every little tweak. They're looking at realigning the cars. They're looking at aero. They're trying to just get this thing running and running properly. I have no issues with the way that things have been run. That's what people are telling me. We just want to be competitive.
All right, obviously a little technical glitch right there. So thanks, Gino. And as this field continues here, we're going to take a quick pause. Obviously, we will be back because next up will be the standing start for touring cars in Pirelli World Challenge. Very quickly, those of you joining us on our web stream or on SiriusXM, as always, for this second day of racing, we'll be building our CBS Sports Network show. So there's going to be times where we'll be pausing and taking breaks and having discussions with producers. But whenever we can, we'll jump back with you here on the web and on SiriusXM. Thank you so much for joining us.
Told nothing is changing. The teams, the BMW teams, the Nissan teams are all just looking to fine line, define their aerodynamics.
Welcome back, everybody. The field coming around to get set and line up for the standing start. And there's Vesco Kozarov in that white and blue Reardon Racing Nismo Nissan. And he'd love nothing more than to get the sweep at home. He's done it before here. Ooh, and Johan trying to get a little heat there, kind of charged up on the back and almost ran off track. Everybody's antsy here, and I think Johan, knowing the pace he's got, Cal, and what happened yesterday, and he had a great fight back through the field. He wants to get going here. He wants to show what he can do.
Yeah, the yin and the yang was a little bit off there. Vesco was on the brakes as Johan was on the power there as they get ready for this start. Going to be key here, Vesco, the pole sitter. That line of cars on the very much cleaner side of the racetrack. The key is going to be on this right side of the screen, left side of the grid for Johan Schwartz and company on that line. Can they get traction and get off the line and get a good launch?
Absolutely, and of course the line down into turn one, it's much more grippy on the racing line on the outside all the way down. I got a little smoke coming off of one of the cars.
Yeah, maybe Johann Schwartz, maybe the brakes, if he's been sort of like leaning on the gas and the brake pedal at the same time.
All right, looks like the field is set. We're anticipating this one going here. Standing start for round 10 of the Pirelli World Challenge Touring Cars. And you can see the wheel and light board. We get the 5-second call, so the lights will come on when they go out. It is race time here at the Utah Motorsports campus. The lights are on, they're off, we're racing. Everybody moves at about the same time, Cal.
Looked like a very nice, clean and even start, but it's a good acceleration run down to turn one. A lot of this is down to the splits on the gear ratios, who gets the good run. Vesco looks like he's got his nose ahead right now. Battle between Schwartz and Whitmer there. Whitmer there looks to the inside. Vesco takes the wide line, sweeps across, and takes the lead into turn one. Whitmer up to second.
Yeah, that was a great use of that line by Kozarov, but Whitmer doing what Kozarov did yesterday, splitting that front row, jumping up into second. His mission is clear. Keep Kozarov as close as possible, so if any opportunity happens, oh no, problem for the second Reardon Racing Nissan, the Paul Terry trucking entry of Paul Terry. Obviously already on the hook. And look at Johann Schwartz. He wants by, jumps to the inside. This is down into Blackrock.
Yeah, this will be a battle of wills right now. Tires are still relatively cold, even though it's a warm day. Johann trying to get out of it. There wasn't the gap there once they got down towards the turn-in point. And really, that's a big advantage from there. We talked about the different sides of the grid there. Certainly, Kozarov and Whitmer from the right side got a better launch on Schwartz, it looked like, down to turn one.
And now coming through this section they're leading into now called Witchcraft, and you can see that little bit of an argument between those two BMWs going into the Blackrock hairpin has given Kozarov a 4 or 5 car length lead. You just can't gift that guy a thing.
No, you can't. Everything seems to be going his way. What you wish for, he's getting right there. Not sure if there was a little touch there between the two BMWs. Definitely Whitmer's car got a little bit loose there. They came through turn 6.
And as I said, don't count out the 26 classic BMW of Matt Travis. Oh, we have a full course caution. We have a full course caution. It's got to be, yeah. That's it. They just couldn't get it cleared quick enough. And you don't want a field of cars streaming down at speed when you've got EV workers on the track. So quick full course caution. I would suspect this is going to be very fast because they just needed to get Terry's car moved into a safe position. So it's kind of a reset here.
It is, which is probably good news for Whitmer. And not so good for Vesco because he had a nice little comfortable gap there in the early going. But again, much cooler conditions here today. I'm going to be curious to see these guys drafting down this front straightaway to see whether they're willing to pick up the draft. Yesterday, they were running on opposite sides of the racetrack. They didn't want to be nowhere near the heat of the car in front of them or not getting air to the radiator ducting.
I think that was a good point you brought up. We're going to take another look at the start right here from a little bit different perspective. And boy,
now
a couple
you see
of
Terry's car. Didn't
yep.
see it on the initial launch, so I was focused on the front of the grid.
It just never moved. And watch for Whitmer here. That you see the blue nose starting to show its face. He's alongside Schwartz, and then right here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's making a move on Vesco or just trying to pinch Johann there down towards the apex curbing. Either way, it worked, and he got up to second. Johann, though, he's feisty. He knows he's got a fast car. He's probably a little bit frustrated, Greg, in terms of having the pole yesterday. The 2 starts that he was involved in at the beginning, the stewards didn't like, so he got that drive-through penalty. Not enough time on the board, and he really needed a reset yesterday. If there'd been a yellow, maybe it could have been a factor for a podium finish, but you got to feel like he's got to be frustrated with seeing Vesco up ahead of him and potentially increasing that championship lead.
Yeah, absolutely, H. You know, what are you hearing about Paul Terry? What happened?
Right now, they're thinking it's an axle failure. They've had this thing happen in the past, and they're just looking with their heads down, shaking their heads, and they're like, axle failure. Car was running perfectly. They thought everything was going to be great, and unfortunate situation for them at the start of the race. All
right, thanks very much. Yeah, he had a top 5 yesterday, and you know, was certainly somebody that I think could have been a factor in this race before a potential podium. That's tough to see.
Yeah, he was very racy yesterday, so I'm sure he's gutted to be out of the race early. Has had a couple of podium finishes this year. Doesn't have the consistency of some of the other boys in the championship, but nonetheless, on his day, he's definitely capable of a podium, if not more.
Absolutely, he is. Well, when we're under caution, we're going to just step away for just a moment here, but we will be back for the restart here at the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Utah. Welcome back, everybody. Lights out on the beautiful Mercedes safety vehicle that we have. Thanks to Farmington Mercedes, by the way, for providing that glorious safety vehicle as we are set to go back to racing after that quick caution. And the safety vehicle makes its way into pit lane. Vesko Kozarov leading the field around. And it's going to be interesting to see just what the thought is here, as you said, Cal, with the ability in this cool air to draft a little bit. Somebody going to be able to take advantage on this long run down. Everybody feeding on early green flag, so plenty of time to pull something off.
There really was, and the key for the leader there is to really be in the sweet spot of the RPM range and the gear he's in to get that initial launch. Looks like he's got a jump. Schwartz has got a run on Whitmer, however.
Here he comes to the inside, and the question is, how deep can he go? And you can see how far Vesko runs to the outside to get that arc in, and Whitmer able to tuck in behind as he sliced across. That was a nice move by Carl. It
really was, and Matt Travers coming off another great podium run here yesterday has joined this lead pack in the early going.
So everybody, it looks like, settles through at this stage. Up through this tricky little corner, this is turn 3, and then there's a kink that comes up, and it should be easy flat, but if you just miss it a little bit, you can find yourself running wide. Here we go, Schwartz again. He did this on that first lap, Cal. Looks to the inside, yeah.
Will he get the same result? He's a little bit deeper. He takes it in deep. He gets that second position. Can he hang on to the front end of that race car? Whitmer comes back at him with the undercut.
Well, they're going to be side by side down into turn number 6, but Johan has that inside line, and again, now watch Whitmer trying to arc and get a run into Richcraft. Well, he got a great exit.
He really did. He's got a great run. He's going to get that position back, and all of this just helps Vesko Kozarov stretching the lead at the front.
Johan now, for a minute, looked like he thought, I'm going to try and cut back, but it's so tough to make a move up into the attitudes.
Look at Whitmer's car. He did that on the opening lap as well. It just gets a little bit loose as he's trying to pinch and get transition back over to set up for the attitudes. Loses the rear end of the BMW, and Vesko is in a different zip code right now. He's taken off.
Yep, this little bit of early racing here between the cars chasing. And Vesko just folds those mirrors down and go.
He really does. I think what he wants to do is take the pressure off, and he's able to just manage things. He's not having to defend, compromise his race line if those BMWs are close to him. This has got to be frustrating for the BMW management who are here seeing their guys battling out and letting that Nissan get away.
Oh boy, a little different line choice into this final corner. A lot of banking in that last corner. You can use it for a ramp down onto the long straightaway, but if you have somebody right behind you, you can't open that window up too much, can you? Because they'll just stick the nose in.
No, absolutely. And looking at the speeds through the speed trap, which is early on, 123 for Kozarov, 124, 125 for the BMWs in the draft. So not much between it, but certainly the BMWs have been awfully strong here this weekend. But right now, they got to do something. They got to work together a little bit better to get up with Vesko Kozarov, who continues to lead.
Well, when you've got different teams representing the same mark, you always want to be the top finisher in that mark. But right now, these two teams, Classic BMW and Rooster, they got to quit racing, and they just got to work together as one and run down Vesko, then get on with the racing.
Here we go. Schwartz, similar line down into turn 5. He's nowhere near as close to the rear bumper of Whitmer this time to attempt to move. Things are starting to settle in now. Tires are now up to temp. Should be in their sweet spot. Then you're going to start to feel, what adjustments did I make last night? How are they working? How are they feeling? Do I have a good balance in this race car?
Another guy who's having a good run right now, sitting in that 5th spot, is Robert Nimkoff in the Autotechnic BMW. And had a good run going yesterday, then faded a little bit late, but has shown some good speed. Qualified 6th for this race based on fast laps from the first race. There he is in that green and white BMW, doing a nice job. However, he's got Jason Clooney kind of glued to the rear deck, doesn't he?
He really does. This is a great battle.
Ooh, a little wide there.
Yeah, he was.
And these cars, obviously, they have ground clearance, so they can run that curb up in that second attitude, but it still unsettles them a lot. And if you charge it too much, that's what can happen down at the bottom of the hill, because that's all off camera.
It really is, and it's a sequence of corners, so if you get off a little bit in the first one, it just exaggerates and gets worse. The compounding of the line just gets away from you. But watching Schwartz here, he's already not wanting to run, even in the short acceleration ones between corners behind Whitmer, so it seems like he's already worried a little bit. Look at him there. He's not tucking into the draft, Greg, just as we saw yesterday. Wants to get that air to the front of his race car.
Yeah, and he had a great run out of release in that final corner, so I would have thought he may have tucked in there. And look how far over he's getting.
He just doesn't want to get into the heat soak from that race car around him. It's not just getting air to the radiator. He doesn't want any part of the heat that's generated from the race car that he's competing with.
That's interesting to see him go that way. And like I said, I sure looked to me like he got a run. I thought he might draft a little bit and then try and make the pass. And he opted to, as you said, just fade way to the left.
Early going, of course, but right now, Vesko Kozrov best. There's a good second clear of everyone else. So we talk about tweaking on the race car, trying to close the gap to Kozrov. The problem is, seems he's tweaked on his race car and made it even quicker here today.
Well, they sure know this track. By the way, just saw a great shot of the DRS Power BMW, the 09 of Greg Nitzkowski. He is your Optimum Batteries best start, standing start award winner, up 2 spots in that opening lap. So congratulations to him as we go back to this compelling battle. Again, looking at Whitmer, second in the points, coming in 18 points back. And then Johann Schwartz, another 12 back. So it's right now 1, 2, 3 on the track is 1, 2, 3 in points order.
It is. Travis having another good run here. He's really hanging tough with these 2 boys in front of him. It's been a brilliant season for Matt. Schwartz there trying to re-up the curb there. Had to control the car midway through the attitudes. It's funny when you'll just use a little bit of those curbs, Greg, and then you go hunt and get a little bit hungrier, and suddenly you hit a big bump, and it's all about just trying to wrestle the car back underneath you.
Yeah, we got some really good margins here. That you know, behind Kozarov, we've got this next group of 3, and then you've got a couple of, as we said, Nimkov and Clooney having a good battle as well, and nobody falling off to any huge degree here. So everybody keeping this pack relatively close, with the exception of Kozarov out front, who has things somewhat covered right now. Is, boy, he gets, look at that run already up to the start-finish line as the rest of the field just exiting the final corner. And
Schwartz
again,
is a little bit closer there this time.
Yeah.
I think Whitman was immediately thinking about having to defend. Schwartz just doesn't want anything to do, and it's much, much cooler than it was here yesterday, Greg, even for their race, which was the first of the day.
I wonder if he's just thinking, you know, the longer I can do that, if I get a run, I'll go. But if not, I'm just going to make sure I keep it cool and have something left to fight at the end. But right now, Vesko Kozarov runs out front. Whitmer, Schwartz, second and third, with the BMWs of Travis and Nifkov, fourth and fifth. Back with you here on our web stream and on Sirius XM. Great to have you with us. And I think this is going to be a battle we're going to see throughout this whole race here. You got 2 awfully talented drivers, and both of them very determined. And like we said, if there's no way they can run with Kozarov in that Nissan, well, they want to be best BMW, and this battle is going to rage.
It really is, and we talked about it just a short while ago. Kozrov's advantage is nearly a second in terms of the best laps of the day. So he has really got that Nissan well tuned up for today. They know the racetrack very well. And you expected this a little bit, but after qualifying here yesterday morning, and suddenly it was Johann Schwartz on the pole and Vesko back in third. Oh, Schwartz really wide there through the attitudes. There was hope for everyone, but Vesko certainly making a statement here this morning.
That he is. And yeah, you could see Schwartz just got a little bit out of rhythm coming through the attitudes, and didn't lose much though, so was able to get right back in with it here, and is maybe a car length, if anything, at this stage.
These guys tend to run a slightly different line through here. Look at that.
Yep.
Whitman runs a little bit more release in wind-up, and then tightens it up for the corner we call release, this final one on the front straightaway.
Yeah, and like I said, I think that might just be the protective mode. If nobody's behind you, you'd open up, get the good run down that banking. You don't want to leave an opening when you've got somebody as hungry as Johann Schwartz behind you.
Been a super consistent season for Carl Whitmer. He has the victory and 5 podium finishes to go alongside that, and that's why he sits second in the points right now, and not Schwartz. Travis is getting pretty close to Schwartz in the points as well, so it's going to be a fierce battle for those top 3 positions in the championship when we get to Watkins Glen at our next event.
And obviously the whole thing is you want to be champion, but if you can't, you know, you'd sure like to be top 3 in that championship when you go looking for support for the next year and programs and the like. And
top BMW as well.
Absolutely. Well, and I'll tell you, these M235IRs are such a great platform, obviously. And points last year, we had, what, 15 of them in races on occasion. So it is a great platform. And it's nice to see a variety of different teams coming in and using it.
And great customer support as well.
True.
They have Colin Harmon here on site, who's a great engineer and just worked with all of the teams, making sure that everything's running correctly and advising the teams, mainly on the technical stuff, but also a little bit of a setup as well.
Ooh, there's Whitmer catching one of those little bollards up there, huh? I'm real impressed here with Matt Travis. I mean, he had that podium run yesterday. But again, Johan was flying around the track. He just was too far back at that point to be able to do much with it. Travis is attacking.
Yeah, Schwartz was a little bit wide there going through Tuello. He kind of charged the corner a little bit and lost the front end, it looked like.
Brief moment chatting with Matt just before the race unfolded, and he had a big smile on his face. I think he knew he had something to race with today. Vesko Kozarov leading away by about 3.5 seconds right now, but the battle, Cal, for second, third, and fourth, Whitmer, Schwartz, and Travis, absolutely superb.
Yeah, Travis got a really good race car, and Johan Schwartz is making charges at Whitmer, but at the same time slipping and sliding a little bit, and that's allowed Matt Travis to close right up on him, and potentially with a better balanced car at the moment.
And got a report from the pit lane from Gino that he checked in with the Rooster Hall team that Johan Schwartz is running in that West Virginia University BMW. And he said the temperatures are fine. It's just that Johan wants to make sure they stay there as they climb. And they said, so unless he's got something he can really attack with, he's just going to move over, make sure he gets a little cool air in there, thinking it might pay dividends later in the race.
Well, that certainly can be the case. I mean, he's monitoring the temperatures on the race car at this point in time, and if he can get that number down a little bit, that may allow him to spend a couple of laps really working the draft and having a go for position towards the end.
It's interesting, though, you know, he makes those little moves. Well, that's just a little bit longer real estate that you're traversing, and I think that's helping Travis stay right with him as well.
It is, and I think Travis is just trying to figure out what is Johan up to, where is he going to put the car on the racetrack and not get into him. Because Johan is suddenly way offline on the approach to some of these corners and then gets it back online, which he's entitled to do. But Travis has got to read all of that.
I didn't consider that option, that maybe this is all just confuse the guys behind you. That's part of the racecraft as well, I gather here. All right, here we go down into clubhouse. And Kozarov in command right now, still has that fast lap by a bit.
It's almost a second, but on that last lap alone, he was 6-7 tenths clear of the chasing pack, so it seems like he's got plenty in hand.
Well, it's interesting, too, with him. He has no qualms about trying to go up high into that turn and come down the banking. He turns in, tucks it right down to the apex, and just ramps the bottom and just drops the hammer.
Yeah, I'm sure they've got the setup absolutely dialed in this morning, looking at the advantage that he has. They know the racetrack very well. Vesco is his home track. And we expected this yesterday, and they've just tweaked on it overnight and found a distinct advantage. But this is the battle we're focused on, and it's a good one. I think the classic BMWs may be handling a little bit better. Maybe Johan is just asking too much of his car at times, because certainly seems to be slipping and sliding a bit more than the guys around him.
Yeah, and Travis is the guy right now that just looks, that car looks absolutely stuck.
He does. He's very disciplined. He's very smooth. He hits his marks.
Had a pretty decent run there out of the kink into Black Rock, but again, you can see Johan moving over just a little bit. And I think you're right. I think Travis is going, all right, how do I deal with this?
Well, it's a learning curve too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
True.
He's around guys with a lot more experience, and he's learning from them, and that's why he's getting stronger every single weekend, it seems.
Coming up on half distance here in this 40-minute 10th round of the championship.
Nimkov is hanging tough. His lap times, fastest laps, are right down with the guys ahead of him. No one's in the Kozarov range, but certainly Nimkov is within a tenth or two of the boys he's chasing.
Yeah, that's a good little battle too. Nimkov in that 5th spot, and Jason Clooney, another of the classic BMWs, sitting in the 6th spot And then Sean Quinlan has moved up a little bit in the number 19 Stephen Cameron Racing entry up into the 7th spot. Well, Gino, we've been talking a lot about the BMW program here and what's unfolding with all these different teams. What do they have to say?
Well, they're happy. They've got 4 cars in the top 5, and I'm sitting here right now with the chief engineer for BMW from BMW, Dusty Renteria. Dusty, how's the weekend going for you guys?
You know, I tell you, it's gone well. It's nice to have 4 BMW customers in the top 5. The season's been a tough challenge, I think, with the competition. Really looking forward to next year and some of the other manufacturers coming in, but very proud of our car, customers, and look forward to the future, absolutely.
That's great. So I've worked with Dusty for a number of years, but the one thing that you guys don't know about Dusty right now is he just got married last week. So let's give him a shout out to Dusty. Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you very much. Thanks, PWC.
Thank you.
All right, thanks very much, Gino. And he's a busy lad, obviously, getting down there and working with all of those customer teams. Where did he find the time?
I know, honeymoon in Utah.
Exactly. But he's absolutely spot on with, you look at the mix of the cars and the teams that he's got out there right now. And classic BMW certainly has a numbers game going, but you take a look at that, you've also got Autotechnic and you've got Stephen Cameron Racing. You've got a huge field of these cars that are represented, but by a number of different teams. And I think it's because this is one of the cars you can buy, and it's immediately competitive.
Yeah, it was really created as the template, I think, for this class, and it's provided a great platform for all of the customer teams. There's a bride and bridesmaid pun in there somewhere, Greg Bowley.
Yes, there absolutely is. And we also want to remind you that if you're really enjoying the Pirelli World Challenge and you would like to even have more news on what's unfolding, well, you can follow it all by downloading the new Fan app. Go to the Apple App Store or Google Play App Store and search for the PWC Fan app and start getting in deeper. You can also follow along on many other social media platforms. On Facebook, just search for PWC Championship. On Twitter, just search for @WC Racing. On Instagram, 2 places to look. Hashtag Pirelli WC or hashtag Pirelli World Challenge. And for all things Pirelli World Challenge, go online to the series website, world-challenge.com. All right, back with you here on Sirius XM on our webcast at this stage. And Kozarov looking to see just what that margin is. It was... It's sort of evened out. It had gone up to about 3.8 cal, and last couple of laps been right about 3.5. So you have to think that Vesco right now, getting good information obviously from the pits, and is just sort of trying to control things from the front.
Well, we expect it to be a green flag run. There's a lot of runoff here at this racetrack, so it's unlikely we'll see a caution. But for any leader who has the advantage, has a comfortable lead, you don't want to keep pushing, because as long as he sees those guys back there, controlling the race, controlling the gap, if there is a reset, you want to make sure you got done a good job with your tire management. You have something to fight with at the end.
And this track is not necessarily the easiest one on tires. We've seen that over the years. And part of it is just you've got the Great Salt Desert sand that blows up there and it's abrasive. But it also really reacts to the heat, the ambient temps and the like. And this is a track where you've got to, even with the Pirelli P0s, which are just phenomenal tires, you've still got to manage them.
Yeah, you absolutely do. It doesn't matter what tire you're working with in this sort of heat and conditions. And this racetrack keeps coming at you. It really does. There's no real let up around here. And you've just got to feel. You just got to feel the car. You just don't want to be sliding those tires. Just control it, knock it back a notch as soon as it starts to give up on you, and just keep the grip underneath you. As soon as you can't start forcing it, particularly if there's a big imbalance in the car, if the car is super loose or got a big push, that can be a big issue in the later stages.
I think that's one thing we're seeing here. Watching Vesco and the lines he's driving, there's just that little bit of slip angle, which you're going to have. But the car is just absolutely on rails. And then just there watching, coming through the Tooele turn, the classic BMW of Whitmer, the back end stepping out over the curbs. We're seeing Johan slide it just a little bit. Of course, he's the world record holder in drifting, so he's comfortable with that. There's a good look back at the number 19 of Sean Quinlan, who continues to put up a good run here. Just missed the top 5 yesterday in a Stephen Cameron Racing BMW. And has been showing some pretty good speed as of late. Actually topped the second practice session here on Friday in the extreme heat of the day. Didn't quite get to manage those times in terms of qualifying and such. Here's a look at Steve Strymer.
what a weekend he had at VIR
yeah.
earlier in the season. Podium run and a victory. And he's another one of those guys. He has flashes of brilliance, but we certainly expect him to be very strong at Portland, his home track. Didn't quite come together there, but certainly capable of surprising the leaders.
Without a doubt, yeah. And that Portland thing for him at home, he had such a huge group of friends, family, and business partners, etc., out at the track. And he's just a great guy. Well, this is getting a little snugger now. Johan has really ramped back up on the attack on Whitmer, and he's brought Travis right with him. He's just waiting for somebody to finally get the run somewhere, Cal, and try something.
Yeah, he really is. We could see some changes for these podium spots here at the end.
Travis.
Off that gap, as you said, he has just controlled it right in the 3.5 to 4 second range. That is not moving.
And the official margins for everybody behind him is like 3/10, 3/10, 3/10. As you can see, there's just nothing between them. And for the first time, I thought I saw Travis as he made that final right coming into Witchcraft, thinking about a run. And Schwartz just got a little bit too much curve, floated wide at the bottom of Bad Attitude. And I thought opportunity maybe for Travis, but he had a rough run down through there as well.
He did. He took a bit more of the curb in Tuella than he normally does. And you can see it immediately bounces the car. And then you just, when you got good grip at the beginning of the race, you can get away with that. But I mean, as the tires are starting to go away on you, if you start eating more curb and the car starts to bounce around, you just don't have the ability to get it back immediately. You got to wait it out.
And let's see it again. You can see Schwartz moving over. And I wonder if this time he may have thought that Travis had something for him because it was so close. And again, those guys bounding over those curbs, even Whitmer, when he caught that a little bit, that's cost them about 4/10. That margin's now up to 4 seconds now.
Yes, it is. And looking at the trap speeds, these BMWs, I know they're running as a pack, but they've got a good 3 miles an hour on Kozarov, so Kozarov's making it happen in other areas of the racetrack. I think he accelerates well up to about the midpoint of the straightaway, and then maybe towards the end of the straightaway where the speed trap is. The BMWs have a slight advantage.
Of course, you look at a track map here, and the thing that catches your eye first is the length of that straight. But there's a lot of turns out there, and if you're not working well there, you're not going to have the lap time no matter how fast you are in a straight line. We're going to pause here on the web. We'll be back with our CBS call in just a sec. Vesko Kozarov heads into Bad Attitude with, I'm guessing, a very good attitude here at Utah Motorsports campus. Here are the pursuers. Johan Schwartz trying to figure a way around the 91 of Carl Whitmer. Matt Travis trying to figure a way around Johan Schwartz. And this has been a bit of an accordion.
It really has, and it's a fascinating battle, and I'm just curious to see when someone's going to start to get aggressive and try and make some moves, because they've been very calm around one another. But as this clock winds down, you'd have to think the intensity would ramp up.
Absolutely, and we're getting into that realm. Ooh, a little bit wide there by Whitmer coming through, and you can see that gave Schwartz the opportunity to look to the inside, but Whitmer able to get the run out. And as we go down this long straight, we've been talking about how you manage tires here. Well, one thing that Pirelli has been is also a great partner to this championship, and they have done a fabulous job of managing this series to a place of prominence here. And let's get down to Gino Carini with Jim Jordan, who is the touring car class manager here. What a job he's done, especially along with that guy in the sunglasses.
The guy in the sunglasses, our friend Orazio Mastrazio, and I'm here with Jim Jordan, our class manager for touring car. A lot of exciting things. I kind of snuck up on you guys for this little secret VIP meeting. Tell us what you guys are talking about. I know there's a lot to talk about.
Well, Gino, one of the reasons for our success in touring car is we like to communicate with all of our partners and our team. So for the third time, my third annual State of the Series presentation was Friday, and we basically...
Obviously still dealing with some technical issues down in the pits. So even with that little bit of a bobble it looked like by Carl Whitmer, Johan not only not able to do anything with it, Cal, Whitmer's actually been able to ease away just a little bit.
He really has, and I think for Johann Schwartz, it must be that his car's temperatures are a little bit more elevated than the guys around him, because if he's going to make a move on Whitmer, a couple of times he had a good run through the last couple of corners, now he has to defend on Travis. He's just not using the draft, so the advantage he has in the acceleration run coming off that corner, he has to give up and just immediately get out in the air, which is going to obviously stall his car a little bit.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Travis seems to have absolutely no issues at all, just tucking in right behind him and getting that toe. So we may see Johan struggling just a little bit here. And I notice here that Johan now up in that second attitude, he's taking a lot less curb than some of the other guys too.
Look at Travis here trying to think about how can he make a move. No one's really indicated where they're going to do that, but you've got to think as close as they are, they're going to get a bit more racy here towards the final few laps.
Ooh, Johan, a little bit of a slide right there. Travis too close to do anything with it. But yeah, the back end of that West Virginia University BMW starting to slip and slide just a little bit. And Travis just not able to find an answer to find a way through.
I think he just needs to time it a little bit better. I think both these previous laps, when he comes through that final couple of corners and Johan's struggling, Matt's been right on him. I think if he gaps him a little bit, gives him about half a car length, that'll allow Matt to come through those corners at his own speed and then take advantage on the runoff on the straightaway.
Well, down into turn one once again. And yeah, it just looks like that BMW of Johan, that car's sliding more than the two classic BMW machines right now, Cal.
Yeah, he seems to be fighting it, and even before the race yesterday, he sat on the pole, he said to me, he said, over one lap, I'm good. He said, I'm not sure about the long green flag runs we anticipate here, and I think that may be the case. He's kind of fighting the car around, he's manhandling around this racetrack and maintaining position, but I think the classic BMW setup looks to be a little bit stronger.
Through Black Rock hairpin. Increasing radius, you turn in, and then you can just start to feed it throttle. But with these cars, you got to be gentle on that throttle, even though you can give it a little bit, because too much and the back end just snaps around. Then you get into the next set of corners where it's an increasing radius and tightens up. But it's a hugely important corner because this run through Witchcraft is quick.
It really is. It's a fun corner, and it really takes everything from the race car to get through there effectively, and then you got to transition back over, otherwise you're going to compromise your speed through the attitudes. Wonderful complex of turns there.
Yeah, it is. And Travis he's fine using all of that curb up in the second attitude, now into the Tooele turn. Once we're grabbing too much of that entry curb, can really bounce you out. And that time everybody got through there and it looked like it was a very clean run for all.
It was. Whitmer here. Probably thinking he's got the margin that he needs in terms of the track position right now, and the race car as Kozarov comes on that front straightaway one more time. Oh, Whitmer really wide there. Tried to turn in super late, couldn't get the front end to respond, had to wait on it, and that's allowed Schwartz to get a lot closer. But again, the problem is Schwartz will not use that draft effect there to get any advantage down this straightaway.
Yeah, we're coming up on, closing in on 5 minutes, and you would think that once at least he'd try and draft to really be on him by the time they got down into turn one.
Seems like when Whitmer really tries to widen the approach to that final corner, he's having to wait on the car a little bit. And that's hard to do. You're asking a lot of the platform, asking a lot of the tire to do that fast change of direction.
Meanwhile, Vesko Kozarov continues to manage this beautifully. The margin now right about 4 seconds over a great battle between Whitmer, Schwartz, Travis, and then Nimkoff and Clooney continue their battle for fifth. The battle raging in pursuit of this guy. Right now, Vesko Kozarov and that Nismo Reardon Racing Nissan has the measure of the field and has been driving absolutely superbly, smooth, fast, effective. Behind him, this battle of the brace of BMWs, for lack of a better term. It is on, and again, Travis attacking up in the attitudes.
He really is, and Johan was using all of the curbs once again and just manhandling his car through those set of turns. Just can't believe that no one's had to poke down the inside and try to grab a position. Maybe Matt Travis thinks about it now. Not quite close enough, I don't believe, but maybe with 1 or 2 laps to go, he may start to force the issue just a little bit.
This is where Whitmer had that little bit of an awkward moment trying to get down to the apex into the final turn. See if he manages it just a little bit better this time. Yes, did that time as well.
Really did, and then Travis ran up on Schwartz a little bit. So he's trying to work him over in those final couple of corners because Schwartz did look vulnerable there for 2 laps. Car was getting really twitchy on him, but look how evenly matched as you would expect with an identical platform down this front straightaway.
Well, here's the other side of it is you would think with the way Travis is running, and he's tucked in behind Johan everywhere else, when Johan makes that move, that he'd go with him once, try and get a little bit of a toe, and when Johan eases back over, try something down into 1.
You would think so, but they're the guys in the cockpit and they're looking at their gauges. They know what margins they have to work with, but when will the move happen?
Well, that's a good point, too. We don't know. I mean, obviously, we're on our way to the upper 90s again today, and it was cool and comfortable this morning, but temperatures climb in a hurry here in the desert, so yeah, that's a good point. We don't really know what's unfolding. Kozarov last time by with all this little bit of cut and thrust back here has stretched that margin to almost 4.5 seconds.
Look at Schwartz there, really deep on the brakes into Blackrock. Hairpin, close the gap marginally on Whitmer. This is one of these corners, Greg, where you want to set up, but you always open up the door to the inside, and your competitor will think about making a move. And it's hard to respond. If you suddenly want to tighten that gap that you've left, the tires will typically not respond at the late stages of a race.
Up into the attitudes. This is the rotation part here, up and over that curb. Everybody on that one a little bit this time. You hear this car sliding around.
Yeah, he really comes out of there using a lot more of the road. Seems comfortable with it, though, looking at his hands. He's not fighting it there. He's just releasing the car and letting it have its head.
There, Johan uses a good amount of that apex curb in clubhouse.
Here's where Travis needs to be patient. Just keep it right there. Just work on flow. Be patient with your throttle application. Don't ask too much at the front end right there. Just focus on getting on the power early. Pretty good run.
But this is where, as you see Johan drifting over, Travis did have a run.
Whitmer's car seems a little bit stronger down the straightaway than the other pair of BMWs, but not by much, maybe half a mile an hour.
Yeah, this time through, actually identical times in terms of the trap between Whitmer and Schwartz.
But he's doing it by himself. The other guys, even though they're not using a lot of draft, you'd have to think that Travis is picking up something from the hole being punched in front of him in the air.
Boy, and Whitmer just had a fabulous run through turns 1 and 2 and was able to gain about 2-3 car lengths. And as you're heading into what's probably going to be the white flag lap here, he needed that.
Kozarov, what a performance.
Isn't it, though? Just
domination. Came in here with the championship lead, 18 points with the bonus for the pole. He'll extend that as we head off to Watkins Glen doubleheader.
And still 1, 2, 3 in the points. That's how they run on the track. Travis takes a little look at Johan up through Witchcraft.
I think that's the thing that Travis has got to be thinking about. He's only 2 points behind Johan Schwartz in the championship.
Exactly.
So if he wants to grab that 3rd position in the point standings, this position right in front of him is important.
Well, if he gets by him, and that's how they were to finish. I mean, I think it's a 2-point swing. It'd be a tie. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's a 4-point gap.
There's always the glass is half empty viewpoint you have to have at it, and that's part of it. All right, should be white flag this time through for Vesko Kozarov. I think this is a drive. He is just in the zone, would be a good way to put it here. It's just been superb.
It's a clinic, that is for sure.
Yeah.
You'd have to think if he needed to, Greg, he could have probably pushed a little bit further and made this gap a little bit stronger than it has. He's just really managed this and kept that gap identical throughout the course of this race.
This time we saw Travis go with Schwartz coming out of the final turn and try and get a little bit of a toe, but then he eventually drifted back over a little bit, partly just to get a better run through turn 1 here. But it looks as though Whitmer, unless he has some sort of a little bobble, that little bit of a margin over Schwartz is just what he wants. So Travis right now is the guy that's got opportunity.
Here we go. He's got a run on him. What can he do through turn 4? Will Johan defend?
A little
peek
bit
into the inside. No, decides against it. Going to try and do the undercut coming off here. Can he get on the power early? Oh, he just has to follow Schwartz's line, so that's not going to work. Now he looks to the inside.
Yep.
Pokes his nose in there, not quite far enough along. He needed a better run off the hairpin if he's going to make that work, but tried to surprise Johan.
All right, last time through Witchcraft and up into the attitudes. And if you doing some trap, nice job there, just slowing down, letting everybody slide through, not affecting the race. I think that may have been Nitzkowski. It's too bad, had a great start, but looks like he may be having a bit of an issue.
Travis
Here we
has
go.
got a good run here.
Yes,
Travis has an excellent run. Closer than ever to Johan. Needs to give it up a little bit and just focus on key on the exit right now.
And he's there. Can he try something in one of these final 3 corners? Whitmer looks to be somewhat solid in second. Here's the battle for the final podium spot. Travis comes up, locks up, and that's going to do it. You get that little bit of lock up and the car skates. Oh, that's unfortunate.
He was going for it.
Yes, he was. Meanwhile, here we go. Kozarov gets a win and adds to his tally on the year. What a dominant season he's putting together. And at the line, Whitmer in second, Schwartz third, Travis in fourth. Ran that way pretty much the whole race. That battle for second, third, and fourth was pretty stout. But this day, this weekend, and in a way, so far this season has belonged to Vesko Kozarov.
It really has. Even at Portland, when he had that off to climb back through the field and take a victory, that was stunning. And to get the 6th win on the season with the competition that's around him, that's quite a statement. I mean, and he made his car better overnight, Greg. I really feel he could have increased the lead that he maintained throughout the second half of this race if he had needed to.
Yeah, he clearly, and that team just never quits. They're always tweaking, working, and you know, Vesko, along with Laura and that whole team, they really know this track so well, and that certainly never hurts here. So as we're on this cool-down lap, here's a look at the unofficial results, and I think a great drive there for Robert Nimkoff in that Autotechnic BMW. Second top 5 of the season, and was able to hang on. And Jason Clooney's had a good run this year. There's no question about it. Nimkoff fended him off.
Yeah, some good battles throughout the field. I'd love to have seen someone really try and make a big move there at the end. I thought for Matt Travis, he had a couple of opportunities, but Johan Schwartz is a canny driver, and I think he was just keeping him at bay.
So that's how things unfolded here in round 10 of the Touring Car Championship at the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Utah. 2 rounds to go when we get to Watkins Glen over Labor Day weekend. But the margin that Vesko Kozarov is building is a stout one. It's going to be very tough for the competition to unseat this guy and this team. Well, folks, with you here on SiriusXM and on the web, it was kind of a little bit of a parade, but it was an interesting one with that scrap that was unfolding in that second, third, and fourth position. It just tells you, I think, on some level, Cal, the caliber of these drivers. They ran that whole way that close. And, yeah, there were little moments and slides and the like, but nobody forced into any kind of significant error, and nobody had an opportunity to really make something happen.
I know, the consistency of the race cars, the tires, particularly in these extreme conditions. Yes, it's a touch cooler than it was yesterday, but still a big challenge for all of the equipment, and everything was up to the challenge. But I thought at a moment Matt Travis had eyes on trying to grab that final podium spot and equaling Schwartz in the championship chase as well, but wasn't to be.
No, it was not, and there you just had a shot of the 19 of Sean Quinlan for Stephen Cameron Racing. He was our VP Racing Fuels Hard Charger Award winner, up 3 spots over the course of the race. So congratulations to Sean. And the field making its way into the staging area, top 3.
All right, come in.
Always come up to the interview zone, and the first one, of course, Vesko Kozarov. The second straight day. Look at the driver name on the top of the car, having some fun. And he has been something of a whirlwind this season, no question. Into the staging area for Victory Circle comes our top 3 finishers, led, of course, by Vesko Kozarov in that Nismo Rd.10 Racing Nissan. And he's a long run, that very colorful helmet. And off it comes once again with another win to celebrate. This one back-to-back at home. And looking forward to hearing from him about just what has been an absolutely stellar weekend for this team. He, of course, goes right down and congratulates some of the other competitors down there. There's Carl Whitmer off to the left, who did everything he could and held off the charging Schwartz and Travis. So mission accomplished to that point. Of course, he wanted a little bit more on this guy. That just wasn't going to happen today, and Gino's found him.
Congratulations, my friend. Good job. It looked a little bit more difficult this year, but you seem to have just a commanding lead. I'm hearing that you're getting closer to a points championship on your first full season with Pirelli World Challenge. Congratulations.
Thank you. I don't know anything about the championship, to be honest with you. We knew we'd have a tough weekend here. The BMWs have done a fantastic job at this track. We didn't have the speed. We struggled yesterday. We got lucky with Johan tripping over himself for sure, and once we got on the lead, we could maintain. I did not expect to have the speed this morning, to be honest with you. The guys tuned up the car overnight. Pretty smart stuff. The Nissan Rd.10 Racing 370Z has been spot on. That was all there is.
Congratulations on another win. We'll see you at the next one in Watkins Glen.
Yeah, thanks very much, Gino. As Johan comes over, and I think that's a good point. He said, I don't really know about the championship. You know, we talked to Laura Tolman yesterday, too, and they said, we're not looking at points. All we want to do is go out and win.
Yeah, well, they're certainly doing that. And if he didn't have the speed, I'd like to think what would happen if he did.
Absolutely. Well, we've talked about that points battle and Carl Whitmer's efforts to try and do something here. Well, he held on to a second place. He had to at least do that, Gino, and he did.
I think absolutely the battle for second place was the race today. I mean, Vesko seemed to have a little bit of a hold in the race, and you were battling with Johan behind you the whole time. Congrats.
Thanks, Gino. Yeah, it was a good race. I mean, Johan and Matt kept me honest the whole time, and you know, I can't thank the guys at Classic BMW and BMW Motorsports for giving me a perfect car all weekend. So, big points. We're going into Watkins Glen with a chance at the championship, so it's all positive.
Excellent. And now you and I talked the other day, and we talked about this is it. You're not holding back. You're not saving tires. You're not anything. How does the strategy change going into Watkins Glen?
Yeah, strategy doesn't change, right? These guys give me a good car, so just keep at it. Big picture. So don't try anything stupid. Just go for the points and hope it turns out in my favor. So.
We hope it all will for everybody involved. Thank you, and have a great day. Congratulations.
All right, congratulations to Carl Whitmer. Still in this points championship. I want to acknowledge that the number 19, Sean Quinlan, and the Stephen Cameron Racing BMW, getting the VP Racing Fuels Hard Charger Award up 3 spots over the course of the race. So congratulations to Sean. And in terms of the points, we talked about it, the Drivers' Championship points, Kozarov just continues to stretch that margin. And in the manufacturer's points, of course, that's an important one. But obviously, that continues to be Nissan marching up as well, so it's going to be an interesting championship. We got 2 rounds to go, Cal. About as different a venue as you can get when we head to Watkins Glen in upstate New York. But I think these guys are going to put on a fabulous show there as well.
It's a little greener there.
Just a bit, yes.
But hopefully not the extreme temperatures that they've been fighting at Portland and this weekend as well. So it'll be a breath of fresh air in more ways than one, and a lot on the line with the championships.
Over Labor Day weekend, so come out to Watkins Glen when Pirelli World Challenge heads there on that Labor Day weekend. Well, that wraps things up from here at the Utah Motorsports campus. For Calvin, for Gino, and our entire CBS Sports Network crew, I'm Greg Creamer. In association with WC Vision, this has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.